What's up, everybody? I'm meteorologist Andrea Myers, back to bring you guys your daily hail and hurricane forecast here, sponsored as always by C3 Group, Merlin Law Group, American Contractor, and Atlas. They are linked as always in the description to this video. They do awesome work. They help us make these videos possible, so go ahead and check them out. So yeah, we have Hurricane Ian, now Tropical Storm Ian, moving into the Atlantic, but there is a chance for it to re-strengthen a little bit as it moves into the coastal Carolinas. So we're going to cover that, as well as, what to expect if you're along the East Coast in terms of impacts. And then last but not least, we do have a hail risk for today. Hey, look at that. Land-based risk for hail and wind through the Intermountain West. So going over all of that. And we have a video here that we're going to start out with for chase team footage from the field. So this was what our team was looking at from a hospital parking garage when they were over in the Port Charlotte area. And you can just see those winds being rocketed across whatever road this is here, forming kind of waves there. They were in solid 140 plus mile-an-hour winds, nearing 150 where they were, and they're fine. If you guys are looking for updates, they're all good. They made it through the back end of everything, and now they're going around to kind of assess what the damage looks like, and they will provide updates shortly. But this is the footage that they got while they were out there in that parking garage. Again, you can just see these palm trees hanging on as that wind just batters them, and then, really picking up there, reducing visibility, and, we got debris that was flying away through the road there. So it was really a crazy night for them, or a crazy day into a night yesterday for them and all along the west coast of Florida. We're really thinking about you guys out there. And fortunately, Ian is moving out of the way for you all. So starting out with our land-based risk from a different low pressure system that's moving in. We got some cloud cover that's starting up through anywhere from Boise to Missoula all the way down into Denver, but the bulk of our risk is going to stay through Utah to Montana. And with that, we could see some severe gusts as well as a severe hailstone or two. Now down into a much stronger low pressure system, now Tropical Storm Ian. You can see it's still trying to spin away. They're losing that symmetry, losing its steam as it tracked over Florida, through Tampa, through Fort Myers and Orlando, now making its way off into the Atlantic. But the north end of that still got a chance to produce lots of rain, as well as potentially some gusty winds greater than hurricane force. They've already been reporting winds over 70 miles an hour through Jacksonville, all the way down into Melbourne, with the remnants of this storm tracking away. And as it continues over the Atlantic, the longer it stays out there, the more it has a chance to re-intensify. Hopefully, it'll get out of the way pretty quickly, and we won't see any more crazy impacts along the East Coast. But we're watching it to see how long it'll stay off in the Atlantic. So here's our latest observations for this per 10 a.m. Central Time, and they'll have, new observations out soon. But the latest that we have was that it's doing consistent 70-mile-an-hour winds with 85-mile-an-hour gusts. So hurricane force gusts, but still staying in tropical storm force for sustained winds along the East Coast here. It's 25 miles north-northeast of Cape Canaveral, tracking off to the north and east very slowly at 9 miles an hour. And again, it's going to continue up that way until it recurves back towards the U.S. East Coast. Here's that track for you guys as it moves that way. There's those 75-mile-an-hour sustained winds forecast to pop back up just into the Category 1 hurricane threshold as it tracks into Charleston. So it'll be just above that Category 1 line, moving into South Carolina, and then it'll quickly diminish once again, 50 miles an hour once it gets into the central part of the state, so dropping below severe limits, and then moving up into Charleston as a low pressure system at only around 30 miles an hour, 35 miles an hour. So once it gets further north and further inland, there's less to be concerned about in terms of damaging wind and storm surge especially. But right when it makes landfall along the East Coast again, we're kind of eyeballing it to see what it's going to do. So here's your severe wind probability as it continues up towards you guys along the Georgia, South Carolina, and North Carolina coastline. Right now, it's already doing severe winds for Orlando and Melbourne, so 100% chance of you guys for that. Then once it tracks up towards Charleston by Friday afternoon, or I guess almost Friday afternoon, oh, that's PM. By the end of Friday. Sorry guys, it's tracking up towards Charleston 50-50 chance that it could be doing severe winds, but it's looking like it's probably going to have tropical storm force, hurricane force gusts tracking up into South Carolina by Friday evening. Then on to Saturday and Sunday. Not much change in those severe winds probabilities. It's going to taper off pretty quick once it moves into the Carolinas. So for tropical storm force winds, that's anything greater than 40 miles an hour. Here's your chances if you guys are in Savannah, Charleston, Myrtle Beach, Wilmington, or Jacksonville. So Savannah and Jacksonville, you're already seeing tropical storm force winds, some even severe, especially through the Jacksonville area. And that's going to taper off into Friday. And then for Charleston, for Myrtle Beach, and for Wilmington, your chances are actually going up by Friday afternoon. And that's when you're probably going to see the peak opportunity for tropical storm force wind impacts in your area, diminishing again by Saturday morning. Then in terms of rainfall, we got even more of that for you guys. Again, it was a prolific rain producer. Tons of rain occurred through Central Florida with this storm, and as it continues to intensify through the Atlantic, we could see more impacts through Jacksonville starting out by Friday morning. Only got a couple of inches, but that's going to increase for you guys by Friday evening. So there we are by 11 p.m. on Friday. Charleston could have over 6 inches of rain as that moves inland, as well as Jacksonville and Columbia getting over 4 inches of rain with that system tracking through. Then by Saturday and Sunday, we'll see just minor increases in that, especially through like the Columbia and through the Charlotte area. Going to see a couple of inches through there, increasing through the weekend as that system finally moves out of your way. So then last but not least, impact-wise for storm surge, not looking as crazy as it did through Florida. I mean, we had a much more intense hurricane tracking into that area. Now it's looking like potentially a Category 1 storm. So still something to take seriously, but you know, no need for panic here. So through Savannah, through Beaufort, Bluffton, 1 to 3 plus feet of storm surge possible if you guys are near ocean level. Then once we track up into Charleston, we could see potentially higher than 3 feet locally of storm surge through the inlet and through the ocean bordering areas. Then it gets a little bit better once you move up more towards Myrtle Beach, towards Wilmington. You guys are kind of out of the way a little bit more, so less expected for that, maybe a foot or two. So yeah, if you guys are in the Charleston area, you want to be on the lookout into this weekend for this storm. So for Jacksonville, right now through Friday morning, you got a low-end chance of a couple tornadoes occurring with the outer bands of that storm, but that's going to weaken, like the chance of that is going to diminish as it moves out of your way. Storm surge chance is also pretty low. You got 2 to 4 feet possible right on that St. Johns River inlet area. Then for flooding, you got up to 4 inches of rain possible locally. Your main chance for anything severe is going to be for winds. Yeah, again, you're already getting gusts past 70, so you could see a damaging gust here or there with that storm. And then you could see some impacts for storm surge, flooding, tornadoes, but those are going to be on the much lower end of what we've been seeing with this system. Then for Friday for Charleston, you guys could also get a tornado or two. That's not out of the question for anywhere that's getting impacted by the outer bands of this storm. But then we've got 4 to 7 feet of storm surge possible. The 7-foot end is going to be local, but it's still possible. And then for flooding, it's going to be 6 to 10 feet as well. So those are our 2 primary concerns with this system. They have been, they're going to continue to be. And then for wind damage, you got Category 1 strength, so just passing that 74-mile-an-hour threshold at landfall. So you want to keep all of this in mind for Friday into the weekend. So now switching gears, going into our land-based risks, what we've been seeing has been really quiet. It's pretty much been all Ian so far. And then now we're switching to another low pressure system that's swinging through the Intermountain West here, bringing us a little bit of a chance for severe hail and wind. So right now, we're going to see things starting to bubble up over the early afternoon hours, and then by 2 p.m., starting to get some isolated cells forming all the way from Idaho into the Butte, Montana area. A couple of those could be hailers with some higher instability through there, and more towards the center of the low. Now, as we see things start to track eastward, we're also going to see it start to push southwards through the Billings area all the way down into Salt Lake City by around 4 p.m. with some isolated cells starting. Then things really kind of ramp up on the south end of that as we start to see those bands forming through the far western part of Wyoming, and even Butte, Montana got a couple bands forming by around 10:30 Central, 9:30 Mountain Time, and with that we could, again, start to see some damaging wind gusts here and there in the 60-mile-an-hour range. That's going to continue slowly off to the east with that low pressure system by tomorrow morning. So here's your hail forecast for today. It's going to be a really confined area up in northern Montana. Got just a little bit of instability possible, and you got those mountain influences that could get you a quarter or two. So if you guys are in or around the Butte area, low end chance of seeing severe hail, but you could again see a quarter or two with that storm. Then down into the remainder of the risk area, we got wind possible for you guys all the way into Utah, and then we've got our Ian risk from the continuing tropical storm. So starting out with our mountain risk, anywhere from Butte all the way down into Salt Lake City, could see a severe wind gust with those bands of storms tracking through. Again, probably in the 60-mile-an-hour range, and low end chance it's going to be pretty scattered. But then the more concentrated risk comes from Tropical Storm Ian, moderate chance all the way from Jacksonville into Melbourne to see some gusty winds, maybe even surpassing tropical storm force gusts. So we could see maybe some 74, 75-mile-an-hour gusts along the East Coast with the remnants of that storm, and then a tornado or two possible as well for today. Then into tomorrow, we're looking again only at Ian. So as that tracks up to the East Coast, we'll start to see a severe wind risk coming out of that, all the way from Virginia Beach down into Charleston, with Charleston having the best chance to see severe impacts out of this storm. But North Carolina is not out of the woods for a spin-up tornado or two. So just be on the lookout if you guys are along the U.S. East Coast into today and tomorrow. As Ian heads your way, we're going to see how much it intensifies, and we'll keep you updated. We've been trying to track this storm and give you guys as many updates as possible. So go ahead and follow us on YouTube, Facebook, Instagram, and Twitter, and TikTok. Those are where we're posting all of the updates, and we try to do those like every hour or so. So you'll have a lot of up-to-date information if you go ahead and follow us on all of those. And then if you want to contact us, you can get in contact with us at 855-334-4245. You can also email us at info@hailtrace.com or check out hailtrace.com for more details, and we'll let you know what's going on. But for now, I'm meteorologist Andrea Myers. Thanks for watching.